Welcome friends to another r/entitled parents video. Good parents always know what's best, and what's best right now is if you hit the like and subscribe buttons down below and support the channel. That said, our first story of the day is by FoxyLady315. Entitled parent wants refund on student's dining plan. A few days ago, we had a freshman orientation at the college where I work. I was in the dining hall when this particular event happened. Note that all meals were comped by the college this past week, so no one was paying for anything. Not students, not faculty or staff, not parents, except for the fancy stuff at the campus's version of Starbucks, which is in the front of the dining hall. Mother comes in with her 4 children. One's a new student on our campus. The other 3 are younger siblings. Student shows her new ID card, which is all they've had to do this week to get into the dining hall free. Entire family goes through, no one pays for anything. Not 5 minutes later, I hear raised voices near the table. I was sitting fairly close to the cash register in the coffee shop area. Mother and all 4 kids come back up to the cash register, and the mother is yelling that she wants a refund because the only food the dining hall has is burgers and fries and chicken tenders and pizza. The cashier's trying to explain to her that she couldn't give her a refund since all the meals were free that day, so she hadn't had to pay to begin with. And the woman says she wants a refund on her daughter's dining plan because the food isn't worth eating. Note that there is nowhere else nearby where her daughter can get meals. The nearest restaurants and grocery stores are in the next town over, 15 miles away. And freshmen aren't allowed to have cars on our campus. So if the daughter doesn't have a meal plan with the dining hall, she's not going to be eating. The woman keeps yelling at the poor cashier, who finally calls her manager, who comes up and says the dining hall itself can't process refunds anyway, and they'd have to talk to campus administration about it. But he reiterated to her that if her daughter didn't have a meal plan, she'd have nowhere to get food. This idiot woman looks at him and says, "Fine, we'll be going over to administration right now and unenrolling her from classes here. She can't possibly go to school here with nothing to eat but burgers and pizza." The poor daughter was standing there looking absolutely devastated, and the other kids looked mortified. I honestly thought the student was going to start crying. No idea what happened after that because they left the building, but oh my goodness, did I ever feel sorry for that poor girl. To be pulled out of college on her first day because her mother didn't like the food the dining hall served? And if they actually went through with it, I really hope they didn't, she won't be able to get into another school until January at the earliest. And if she was a scholarship student, a lot of our kids are, it may take her a full year to be able to get a scholarship somewhere else. The really sad thing was, the very basic burgers and pizza menu the dining hall was running that day was only because meals were free, and they were trying to save some money on it. They also knew it would be busy with the parents on campus, so they were making foods that are easy to prepare in mass quantities. Also, if they'd stuck around long enough for dinner, they would have gotten much fancier meal options, and starting Monday, there would also be a full salad bar and self-serve deli available at lunch and dinner. But since apparently baby girl was far too important to eat normal food like every other student on just about every college campus out there, they're just going to make her go back home again. The poor kid. And honestly, her poor 3 younger siblings too. I feel sorry for them all. In your honest opinion, do you think that any parent should really have a say in what decisions a kid makes when entering higher academics? Should parents be allowed to have any amount of influence on what their kids do? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Our next story is by the Unreal Dawn Steele, entitled Mother Lets Her Son Destroy 100-Year-Old Antique Table. I, 24-year-old female, previously posted an r/child-free about one of my mother's younger friends, an entitled mother, early 40s female, who I first knew was carefree and wonderful until she had her first kid. That child ended up being a complete brat with her mother's encouragement, but entitled mother had another child, a son, 4 years old, who I kind of liked because he wasn't as intense as his older sibling. As of last night, that has changed. For context, my mother's greatest joy in life other than her kids is antiquing. She dresses every room in her house very carefully and will stop at every vintage shop around to find a piece of furniture, sometimes using road trips to find new antique stores and examine what's inside. I used to hate going with my mom to these stores, but since she took all 3 of us kids and told us that these used to belong to other people, I think it gave us an early respect for other people's things. We were never the kids to break stuff or jump on furniture in our homes or anyone else's, and I'm pretty sure that contributed to it. When she was pregnant with my oldest sibling in 1990, my mom found a small circular wooden table with 3 curved legs topped with a circle of marble. The shop proprietor told her it was 70 years old, so she bought it for a song, shined it up, and stuck it in her living room, where it immediately became a staple of our house. The coffee table lasted her through 3 kids' college graduations, a move in 2000, and countless family parties and events, still shiny and looking new and gorgeous. It's as much a part of the family now as any of us kids. Now to last night. Entitled Mother's birthday recently occurred, so since she had given Mom a birthday celebration last month, Mom decides to return the favor, inviting Entitled Mother, her husband, and their kids to our house for lobster. Already I'm not a fan of this. Whenever Entitled Mother and her kids come over, my mom makes a serious effort to give the kids something fun to do while the adults talk. We have a collection of coloring books, blocks, dolls, Legos, puzzles, action figures, and a TV in the basement from when my siblings and I were growing up. And Mom even bought them some new toys herself. But inevitably the kids will play down there for 2 minutes and then come to their mom to complain that they're bored, then proceed to wreak havoc on our house. My parents, who Entitled Mother sees as their kids' aunt and uncle, have warned the kids many times not to jump on things, but they don't listen. The oldest kid is also very combative and likes to pull hair and hit people, as I learned firsthand, and broke a holiday decoration given to my dad by his late mother. Of course, Entitled Mother coddles her kids and coos that they're the best in the world and all that BS. I've told my mom repeatedly that I don't want to be around the kids or their parents, but she brushes it off. In fact, she likes to tease me for not interacting with Entitled Mother and not coming downstairs when she visits, and says that Entitled Mother shouldn't get in the way of me living my life. I live with my folks and am invited to attend the party, but make my usual choice of opting out. Since I've just finished the first week of a new job, I intend to celebrate with a day at the bookstore and a night with friends. But yesterday morning, as I was preparing to leave, Mom asked why I was going to leave her to deal with the 2 kids by herself. I told her that I wasn't going to let them get in the way of living my life. She laughed and wished me a good day, and I left. My day was wonderful. I spent the morning and early afternoon at my favorite bookstore, the evening with my friends at a wine bar, and the night with them at a karaoke room. I come home around 11:30 that night and enter from a door in our sunroom where my parents are asleep on the couch watching TV. I wake them up, tell them about my day, and they seem genuinely happy it went so well. To be polite, I ask how the party went. My folks get quiet and look at each other, and my mother, sounding very drained, tells me to go into the living room, the next room over. Confused, I look through the doorway and immediately see why. The beautiful table, now a century old, is broken. Its 3 curved wooden legs were bisected and splintered, there's a small crack in the marble top, and a collection of wood shards littering the carpet. What happened? I asked. Earlier that day, around 6:30 p.m., my dad and Entitled Mother's husband went to pick up my grandpa, plus a steamer for the lobster. While they were away, Mom had worked to settle the kids in the basement and reminded them to not jump on anything, then went to the living room to converse with Entitled Mother. As they were talking, my mother leaves to go to the restroom at the other end of the house. She stops in the kitchen before returning and hears a crash in the living room. Mom runs in, and lo and behold, son had become bored, came upstairs to the living room, and started jumping on furniture, including the ancient table, while Entitled Mother watched. My mother is predictably horrified and stares as Entitled Mother examines son for injuries and reassures Mom that the kid's fine. Mom gets sick to her stomach, takes son aside and tells him in a serious but not yelling voice that Auntie is very disappointed in him and that he knows the rules at her house. Entitled Mother overhears and berates Mom, telling her that she's the only one that can speak that way to her kids, before coddling son and telling him that he's going to be okay. Mom then outright asks Entitled Mother if she herself told the kids not to jump on the furniture at our house. Entitled Mother replies casually, "No, I didn't tell them not to." The husband returns and all 3 men are shocked. Entitled Mother's husband immediately offers to pay a carpenter to fix the table, which my mother accepts. Dinner goes on, but it's cold and impersonal between Mom and Entitled Mother. This morning, Entitled Mother, son, and husband came by our house to give Mom a bouquet of flowers. and also an apology and the number of a carpenter who they'll pay for. She puts on a smile and says thank you, but she's very upset nonetheless. My dad doesn't want the kid in our house until he's older. Mom says she'll be keeping her distance from entitled mother for the time being, since she can't teach her kids to respect other people's property or discipline them properly. My heart breaks for my mom. I don't plan on having kids, but if you do, please teach them at an early age to respect other people and their things. If you had a priceless piece of furniture that you kind of grew up with or had for a very long time, and your very long time and close friend comes over with their kid ends up destroying that personal belonging that you love so dearly, and then proceeds to say that they didn't tell them to respect any of your belongings and only are focusing on if the kid's okay, is that enough to permanently fracture that friendship, completely change the dynamic? I'd like to know what you guys think in the comments. Our next story is by Baxter9312. Cousin thinks I'm his nanny. My cousin's girlfriend had a baby around the same time I did, which if you've read my posts, then you know all of this happened many years ago. My child was shunned and unwanted by my family, but my cousin's child was welcomed even though they were living off the system, and the mother was the child of illegal immigrants whom my family protected. As soon as this kid was born, my cousin started asking, then demanding I babysit, because until my son started school, I was a stay-at-home mom while my husband worked. I watched the brat a few times and he is incorrigible. He's violent even to this day. He wouldn't listen to me, would destroy my home, and ended up hitting my son in the face with a metal model car. When I told my cousin I wouldn't be watching him anymore, he didn't seem to take me seriously and even had his dad try to bully me into watching the kid. The final straw was my son's birthday and we had planned on going to a movie. We were getting ready to walk out of the door when I saw a vehicle pull up, and it took me a minute to register who it was. My uncle brought the child to the door along with my cousin's wife, and the exchange went like this. Uncle said, "Hello, OP, we're dropping child off for you to watch tonight because we've got somewhere to go." The somewhere turned out to be my other cousin's, the uncle's other son's, wedding reception, and because of child's behavior, they didn't want him there. I say, "I'm sorry, but we're getting ready to leave. I've also told you that I'm not babysitting him anymore." At this point, I get my son into his coat and my husband comes into the foyer. Husband says, "What's going on here? Why is Uncle here with the kid?" Uncle says, "We need you all to watch him for a while." My uncle had already set the kid down on the floor and he was glaring at my kid. Husband said, "Nope, we're going to a movie. You'll have to find someone else." Uncle said, "Well, take him with you then, or just don't go." Husband said, "Ha, no to both of those. We're going now. Please get out of my home and take this kid with you." My uncle is a bully. He hates people telling him no. My husband and I walk outside with our child, and my husband told my uncle he needed to leave so we could lock the door. My uncle tried walking out of the door, leaving the kid inside. Husband said, no. I said, "We aren't watching him. If you leave him here, I'll call the police for child abandonment because he isn't going with us." My uncle was livid. "What's the big deal? We can't take him to this event with us. Just watch him." Again, my husband told him no and that we were leaving. Uncle scooped the kid up and tried to put him in our car, and my husband told him we'll drop him at the police station if he did that. This kid was literally grabbing fistfuls of my uncle's hair and slamming his forehead into the side of my uncle's face. My husband locked the car doors once my son and I were inside, then proceeded to lock the front door. We pulled off with Uncle still standing in the driveway. This was back in the day of basic cell phones and we turned ours off for our movie. I want to say it was the day after tomorrow that we saw. My cousin and his wife were later investigated by CPS because of their child's behavior, especially when he started school and would violently attack teachers. My cousin's wife did have some words that night. She called us rich and entitled, saying it wasn't fair we treated her little angel like this. She even tried shoving him in on the driver's side when my husband went to get in the car. She would text me for weeks after this, telling me I shouldn't have everything I did and that her kid was more deserving. So, I don't know the dynamic at home, but I would imagine a kid that is acting out like that is either being completely neglected or a completely way worse alternative that you don't even want to start thinking about. From the way they handle this kid, it sounds like they just don't do anything and just let the kid do as they please beside, I don't know, feeding them. Honestly, in my opinion, I think they should have called CPS way earlier. It sucks that it got to the point where CPS got involved only when the kid was acting out violently against the teachers. And that's only because they got old enough to reach that point. They were acting like that already. I hope for the kid's sake that they can get some proper help. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.